This one particular babysitter, well, she popped me in the head with the broom. If you don't be still, I'm gonna make you see stars. So now I get a pop in my eye, I saw the stars.
Wow.
She made me break my arm, and I went to school with bandages on my arm, and one of the girls pulled my slip down right in front of the classroom. And so the girl knocked it off the shoulder, and I hit her, taking the umbrella, and I was digging it like that, and I happened to hit one of the girls in the eye. My sister said, if you don't beat her ass, I'm gonna beat your ass when you get in this house. I said, what's the age where you're supposed to have sex? And she was like, I don't know. Then he bent down, he's like, do you trust me? He picked up this knife, and it was a long machete, put it up to my neck. I jumped on his back. I said, oh, you here to see my incisions? They said, yes. I said, okay. I didn't want him to live with me any longer because I felt that bad about my body.
Scars Podcast, where the truth never lies.
We are back with another episode of Scars. Today, I am sitting down with Miss Carolyn Sperling. How are you doing?
I'm doing fine, David. Thank you for asking.
Okay, that's what I'm talking about. Thank you for coming and joining me on Scars.
No problem.
That's
no problem.
Up.
My pleasure.
So tell us a little bit about yourself.
Well, I am a mother of two daughters, 10 years apart. I am a seamstress / tailor. I was born in Jersey City, Booker T Projects. I went to school at James J. Ferris High School. And from there, I just started working after school. As a seamstress, I was inspired by my mother. At 11 years old, my mother used to sew. That was her job. She worked at Macy's and Bamberger's as a seamstress. And so when she comes home from work, she would have me at 11 sit alongside her with a sewing machine, and I would sew alongside of her, and then we would make clothes. Well, she would make the clothes because I wasn't making anything, but and then so that inspired me. Well, later on in my adult life, I picked up the urge to sew, and I met a young man in high school, and he and I and another couple, they were taking us out on a date. And so I needed to make something to wear. So I went to the fabric store and I brought a red corduroy fabric, and I hand stitched me a vested 2-piece suit.
Wow.
By hand. And so we went to New York, and that sparked my, because I like dressing. So when Mom used to go to work, I would go in her closet and I would get her clothes and wrap my skirts up so they could fit me around the waist. And I go to school in Mom's clothes. And then when she comes home back from work, I would take the clothes and hang them back up and like I had never wore them. And then, but that sparked my feel for sewing. And so after that, I periodically would sew, things here and there, but it wasn't extensive at the moment.
Tell us about your first scar.
My first scar was when Mom used to go to work. She needed a babysitter for me. And she used to drop me off at different babysitters at the time because it was hard, having one steady babysitter. So various babysitters that she would take me to, some were not so nice. And this one particular babysitter used to do my hair. And when she would braid my hair, I guess as a child, I'd be fiddling in the chair, whatever. She'd be like, sit still so I can, get your hair done, whatever. And she would get mad with me. And she was like, you better sit still before I pop you in the head. I'm going to make you see stars. And young child, I'm not paying any attention to that. So she would make me go to the bathroom and she'd say, go get the toilet seat. And I'm like, Levitt, I don't know. I'm here trying to unscrew the toilet bowl, okay? So I can get it to her so she won't hit me or anything, right? Because she used to be very abusive to me. And so I went and I tried to get the toilet bowl. So I was like, I can't get it. She was like, what? I said, she said, get on back in here, let me finish your hair. So when I sat down to get my hair done, still fiddling around. She's trying to part it. Well, she popped me in the head with the broom, and I start crying, and I start moving around. Then she said, if you don't be still, I'm going to make you see stars. And I'm like, so I'm still fiddling around. Next thing you know, I get a pop in my eye. I saw the stars.
Wow.
It was serious like that.
How old were you?
I was about between 11, 12.
Wow.
Yeah. And so, I don't know, maybe that might have, sparked some later medical situations that could be happening to me too. So I don't know. But then that was one incident. Then another incident was, I don't know what I was doing, but she made me break my arm. And I went to school with bandages on my arm and a cast. My mom had to come to school and get me because she didn't know why. She told the nurse told her something's wrong with her arm and you need to take her to the hospital. So she did that, and I ended up in the sling, and I had to go to back to school with that, and I got picked on, because I had
Did
to
she
sling.
grab you or something?
I can't recall or how it happened, but I guess she was probably angry at me for doing something. I'm not sure.
Wow.
But I don't know. She just hit me or something, and I ended up having a fracture in my arm.
Wow.
So I don't like going to people's houses and sitting down, watching TV, doing absolutely nothing. No, I can do that in my own house, watch television, sit down. So I'm not a fan of visiting. Mom never asked me how I can't recall her immediate response to it. Maybe she knew, maybe she didn't know, because I think women back in those days, my mom, she's the typical moms that didn't talk about stuff much, young girls growing up, getting their administration, having sex with boys and things of that nature. Those things was not talked about. Everything was hush, hush, quiet, don't say anything, just go along with it, deal with it, it'll be all right. You grow out of it kind of stuff. So I really don't recall of her asking, who, well, I guess she would know who did it because I went to the babysitter. But as far as what she did and the things that she, actions that she took, I don't recall of that. I used to cry to I don't want to go to a babysitter house. Take me with you. I don't want to go. Can I go to work with you? And she was like, no, I can't. I got to go to work. And I used to cry when my mom leave for home because I didn't want to be left with nobody.
What about your other siblings? Because you were the
They
youngest.
were much older. So they were like my older sister. She stayed with my grandmother, and my middle sister, she was she was there periodically. She didn't stay long because she would come in and go out, whatever. But she didn't stay because she and the oldest sisters they had their own agenda, so to speak. So they wasn't available to watch me most of the time when mom used to go to work.
Oh, wow.
Yeah. And that's how I grew up too in the project, where we were a close-knit family in the project, in my building. Mm-hmm. All the moms and the kids, we were like family. It was like what they call that, village. And so what I did, my mother, she didn't have to worry about it because, her neighbors in the building would tell her, and if we would get beaten by my mother's neighbors, or if we went too far out of the way to go anywhere or play, or boys, anything, the neighbors was there. They would stop it. as soon as it start. So we can sit outside in the summertime on the bench with sheets and everything, have a little the television. We had the TVs outside with the extension cord, and the televisions outside, barbecuing all hours of the night. And that was our way where we can, just be outside as long as we wanted, because we was always like, Mom, can we stay outside for 5 more minutes? They was like, no, but if we stayed in front of the door, we can stay outside because someone in the building was always watching. So it was very safe.
Tell us about the scar of the school fight.
Oh, I was quiet. I was I didn't socialize with too many girls. I guess maybe because I don't know, I didn't feel what they was doing was what I wanted to do, because they was like out there and I'm like quiet. So I only had one real girlfriend. And but going back and forth to school in class, I used to get picked on. Now, I wore nice clothes because my mom sewed. So when she goes to work, I would go in her closet and I would take some of her clothes that I think that could fit me. So if it didn't fit skirts or whatever, I would roll them up so they can, fit me around the waist, what have you. And then I would wear to school. So I think I was picked on because of the clothes that I wore. And I must say that I was pretty shapely, and the guys liked me, but the girls didn't. And so I used to get picked on a lot by that. And then one day in class, my slip was hanging from my skirt, under my skirt, and I had to go up on the blackboard to do some math project on the blackboard. And one of the girls pulled my slip down right in front of the classroom. And, that was so embarrassing. So I had to run out of the classroom. So little things that they was doing was building up to whatever, they wanted, how they pick up, like bully me. And so we would be outside. Well, I would be outside in front of the door, and my girlfriend, my best girlfriend, we would be out there, and the girls would come because they had like a little group. Like I said, I lived in the project.
So they were from the same project?
They was from the same project.
Okay.
So I was in building 90. They was like in 92, 94, 98. And so they would come, over to because they were playing, because we had like a nice little field area. We had like a basketball court, and then we had in front of my building, we had like a nice little field where we played kickball.
Okay.
So we would be outside there. So everybody would go there if they want to play kickball. This is the area where we go. But this particular day, I wasn't playing no kickball. My girlfriend and I, we was just outside, just, chilling. And so they decided to, they wanted to bully me that day. And I wasn't having it, but they pursued. And so there was a thing where you put an ice cream stick on your shoulder.
Yeah.
And they was like, okay, I dare you to knock it off the shoulder or whatever. And I was like,
that. Yes.
And so the girl knocked it off the shoulder and I hit her. And so next thing you know, now I hit her, now the other girl hit me. Now my girlfriend, she's still sitting there. She's not getting involved at the moment. But when the other girls started coming in, then she started pulling me out. Well, my sister at the time, she had to be visiting to the house, and she saw the girls fighting me and jumping in on me. So she had an umbrella in her hand. And she said, here, take this umbrella. And she said, I don't care which one you do. She said, but you beat one of them with this umbrella. I don't care what you do. You just make an example out of that one girl. And so while the other one was trying to beat me, I ended up taking the umbrella like I was kung fu somebody. And I was taking the umbrella and I was digging it like that. And I happened to hit one of the girls in the eye.
Wow.
And so when she felt that, then everybody started tending to her and they, so they took her along. So that's how the fight ended. Because in the background, I can hear my sister say, "Can I cuss?"
Yes.
My sister said, "If you don't beat her ass, I'm going to beat your ass when you get in this house." So I was like, "Oh, Lord, I don't want my sister to be hitting on me," right? So I was like, okay, I got to do what I got to do because I don't want to have two fights, one out here and one in the house.
Yeah.
So that's how I ended up, hurting that girl in the eye. And then the others, they left and took her away. So it didn't,
What happened to her eye?
In the corner of her eye. And it wasn't real bad. She didn't lose her eye or anything.
Okay.
It just got bloodied, and that was it. But her feelings got hurt. So that was the end of that.
Did you see her in school after that?
I saw her in school after that. She didn't bother me anymore after that.
Wow.
No, because then after that, my girlfriend, who's still my girlfriend to this day, she could fight. And so now if anybody messed with me, she would take care of it. So I didn't have to worry about nobody mess with me because then she started standing up for me. So I was like, hey,
Okay.
then now I started getting a little brave and, anybody mess with me now I guess you could say I was a little bully because then when we had fire drills at school and you know how you be in the line, they all take you in the line outside. Mm-hmm. So I'd go pull a little girl's hair or whatever. And then she'd go, I was like, oh, girl, stop. But,
oh, wow.
but that was at one time, but it was something I did. But anyway, that ended that bulliness. It didn't happen any longer.
I've heard people use umbrellas for a lot of things, but
yeah,
that's the first.
Yeah,
so.
I had to defend myself, and it was a pretty good long umbrella too. It was black, I can recall the color.
With the point?
Yeah, with the point on it. When you had to open it up like that.
So did anyone tell your mom about that umbrella thing? Like the neighbors
No,
watching
Mom never said anything because the neighbors, they took care of me. Once the neighbors saw whatever, you kids, you stop that. Y'all go home and, go home to your mother before I tell your mother on you. That kind of thing. But, it was, no. Mom said nothing.
Wow. Tell us about the scar dating, your dating scar.
Again, not socializing much, whatever, not, I wasn't into boys at school. Not until like high school, because the girls, once they were starting to talk to me, that's how a lot of influences start. When your girlfriends, you in the house, quiet place, and everybody's this daredevil doing certain thing like starting to smoke, or some of them have boyfriends and things of that nature. So we was in a little circle and everything, and they was asking me, "Carrie, you ever smoked?" I was like, "No, I don't smoke like that. I don't smoke. No, I never did that." So they didn't mess with me there. But like, "You ever had sex?" I was like, "No, I never had sex either." So I went into the house after everything was over, and I went in the house. I said, "Mom," I said, "What's the age where you're supposed to have sex with a guy?" And she was like, "I don't know." And so that conversation never went anywhere, right? Mm-hmm. And so I found out my girlfriends was having sex and everything. I was like, well, you'll go right on ahead. So I still wasn't into the boys then. So, but they was, the one guy, he liked me. He used to follow me from school. He used to make me run home. He used to chase me from school. And he never caught it with me because then I was a track star too, so I was pretty fast.
He used to chase
me home. Yeah.
How did the chase start?
Because while we in school, we go down the hall, we change in classes and stuff, and then he was like, "I'm gonna get you one day," I'm like, "Yeah, right," and so he would just make little, remarks and stuff over me, and then if he see me and I'll see him, and he look like he's coming towards me, I'll just start running.
Wow.
You know, I'm like, Forrest Gump, run, Forrest, run, you know, so he could never catch me because from where I went to school to where my building is, it was a street, and then we had to go under the highway, and then through the project, and then like the back way. But then he would chase me, but he would never catch me. So after a while, you know, years went on, whatever, and so as we got older, we started going into the bars, hanging out, because my another group of girls that I like, actually, I'm sorry, after school, okay, so I'm getting ready to put two things together. This was after school, but this part that I'm getting ready to tell you with the guy, that's during my working years.
Okay.
Okay.
Is it the same guy?
Huh? Yeah, it's the same guy.
Okay, so it all ties together.
Okay.
So he used to chase you?
Oh yeah,
home?
he used to chase me home.
Okay.
And then after a while, I kind of like started going to work, and I work in New York, so I pretty much like lost contact with him because I was busy. So whatever he was doing, he went his way and I went my way. But then where I used to hang out at with my girlfriends, he started coming in that circle.
Okay.
And so when he finally caught up with me, then we started talking back again, and you know, and then things started getting a little close, tight, but not, you know, to an intimate level. And so I went to his house because he wanted to, we was just hanging out, nothing like TV, just to the music and have you. And then I didn't know what his intentions was, but I went into the bathroom, and I came out and I saw on the side of the sofa, it was this like long stick light. And so I was paying no mind. And then he went to do something and he bent down. He's like, "Do you trust me?" I was like, "What do you mean?" He said he picked up this knife and it was a long machete.
Wow.
And I was like, what are you talking about? He said, "Do you trust me?" I was like, I don't know what you mean. I said, "But with that knife in your hand, I don't know what to think." And so he put it up to my neck, and he was like, "Would you believe that if I would slice your neck, would anybody say, would any harm come to me?" I was like, "Boy, you better just stop it. You said stop playing like that." And then he's like, I'm not playing right now." I was like, well, I don't know what you about to do right now. I said, "But I gotta go to the bathroom." I said, "Cause you making me nervous." And so I went and I got back up, and he let me go, you know, let me go back to the bathroom. When I did, then next thing you know, he came in the bathroom behind me, and I said, "Well, what you doing in here?" Because I wasn't using the bathroom. I was just in there just trying to,
get your nerves
together.
Save
save myself, I guess. And when I did that, he came in. He had the knife in his hand, but so the bathroom is a small place, you know, to try to maneuver anything, whatever, with that long machete. And so somehow or another, I was able to get behind him. And when he looked like he was gonna come and turn around to do something to me, I jumped on his back and I hold his, you know, I was on his back. And we was just swinging and tussling. It was kind of hard for him. And two, he was drunk too. And so I knew that he wasn't too swift, or, you know, his, he wasn't too balanced, so to speak, right? And so I was able to get some leverage by holding him. And as he was turning around, he lost his balance and he fell over by the tub. When he did that, I was able to get away and run out the house and left.
Okay.
And so I never saw him again until He got a job.
Did you go to the cops or anything?
No. Mm-mm.
Okay.
You know, because I mean, dumb, but he was a nice guy, you know, and I don't know, I wasn't that type of person.
Okay.
You know, I didn't think it wouldn't go anywhere because, you know, I just left him alone and I tried to talk peace with him. After like maybe 1 or 2 days, he did call me, and then he was like, I don't know what happened. He said, I was drunk, I was out of my mind, whatever. And I was like, well, you shouldn't have did that, you know, because you scared me, what have you. And then I did mention that, you know, you could have gotten a lot of trouble if you would have hurt me. But he said, I'm sorry, I would never do that again. I never hurt you. You know, that was not my intention. So I took that for granted that was, you know, he was sorry, and then that was it. So now I transfer from my New York job to New Jersey, and lo and behold, he's a maintenance guy at the job, and I'm a payroll clerk.
Wow.
So now I'm looking at him again. So I'm strictly business on the job. You know, I don't fraternize with the employees or anything. And he coming to the office and he's like, hey, how you doing, whatever. I'm like, I'm good. I said, but you shouldn't be in here because, you know, I got to work. And then next thing you know, he starts bringing me breakfast in the morning, coffee and, you know, butter rolls, stuff like that. So I said, but hey, this is the farthest it's going to go, okay? Because we're not, you know, there's no relationship here.
Okay.
So, but other than that, we ended up being, you know, friends. And that's just how it ended. Then I come to find out much years later, he had died.
Oh, wow. So
I knew I had to worry about him no more. I guess maybe that's why it doesn't matter the type of male you are. To me, I guess you 2 men right here.
It's all good. Yeah.
But you have to build a certain rapport with me before I can actually, you know, trust you and to let, you know, things happen before I will actually, you know, go too far with you. So, but no, trusting men is it's kind of difficult.
He went from chasing you home in high school, right, to trying to hold a knife to your throat. Then you end up working at the same job with this man.
Because he was obsessive with me. And, you know, that's when I realized, okay, I need to change my way of thinking and my approach with him because, number one, I wasn't messing with a guy who was drinking. So I saw where he was at that stage. So I tried to cut ties and have a different type of relationship.
Do you think he might have started hanging out where you were because of you?
He probably was following me. You know, like wherever I would be, he would be, that type of thing.
Okay.
And so that's why I you know, I have my senses. I try now to listen to my gut because it's sometimes, most of the time, never steered me wrong. And I think I have a good sense of people that will be in my circle. And so if I feel, if my heart and my spirit don't feel you, I'm not going to be around you.
Tell us about the scar of dealing with breast cancer.
As my girls were growing up, and me as a hands-on mom, I made sure that in school I was there with them, and I tried to be at their, you know, beck and call. I tried to do the best that I could with what I knew, and with that, dealing with that, and then the guys who I with child with, I thought, because they're 10 years apart, so I'm thinking, okay, this is going to be the one that I'm going to make a life with, whatever. But through that relationship, he left when my daughter was about 2 years old. And so I had to be a single mom raising my daughter. And then doing the whole, work thing or what have you, household. I had rented out an apartment, so I bought my own house. I mean, not my house. I got an apartment in a project where my same building where my mother was. So I was on different floors, and so that was my automatic babysitter right there.
Mm-hmm.
So I trusted my mother. I my children was not going to no strange person unless I knew them personally. And so, through that, and then, dealing with life and stuff, then my second daughter, 10 years later, I met her dad, and I thought that was going to be the love of my life forever. And that didn't work out either. So, I went through some life with him. And then I had, I guess just, I think part of the, my environment was in the projects. We lived by a railroad track, and there was like a lot of metals and all this stuff, just like a lot of garbage over here by this thing. And so I equated that as well to be part of the reason why I developed the breast cancer. But I didn't know it at the time, and I just totally ignored it. How I developed breast cancer was through the environment, foods I was eating, different things to that nature. Going through the treatments, they tell you certain things of how a woman can develop breast cancer and what to look out for. But at this time, I was taking a shower, and I felt the lump in my breast, and I ignored it. And then weeks later, I'm sitting down watching TV. I felt my lump. I felt my breast again, and I'm like, okay, it felt like it was just a little bit bigger, but now it's sore. And so I told my girlfriend. She said, "You sure?" I was like, "Yeah." I said, "It feels different this time." And so I went to the doctor, and he said, "We're not sure, but we need to take a biopsy." And I says, "Okay." And he said, "It's gonna hurt." He said, "Yes, it's gonna hurt, but we're gonna put you under local anesthetic." I'm like, "Okay." I said, "So when I come back, can I bring my aunt with me because she's a RN?" He said, "Yes, you can bring her with you." So I did that, and we wrote down questions and stuff to ask him, and we really grilled him, real bad. So he had scheduled me for a mastectomy with tram flap. This particular operation was the first that was ever the first time procedure. One, my doctor, he was a teacher of cancer in the hospital where he resided. He was the instructor, and so he wanted to perform this particular surgery on me because he said I was a good candidate because of the amount of fat that I had in my stomach, and that the breast size that it would fit. And so my aunt, she agreed with it, and so during the surgery, they were able to take a football size fat from my stomach where the navel area is, and take that off, and then insert, and then they cut out the breast area where they was going to insert the fat tissue from my stomach, insert it inside my stomach canal, and push it out through to make a breast. Because I didn't want to use silicone, because at the time, silicone was, they was having a lot of medical problems with the silicone. And so it's leaking. So I said, well, I didn't want the silicone. I want my own tissue in my own body. And so they did that. And so I had a tummy tuck with a mastectomy at the same time. And the surgery took about 12 hours. And so during recovery in the hospital, I noticed, started seeing a lot of doctors coming in and they wanted to check me. And I'm like, why is all these different doctors coming in here to check me and stuff? Well, come to find out, the surgery that he did, which was very successful, they were very curious. These were doctors from all over the world coming in to see the surgery and how it looked, whatever, with me. And I had to take pictures. They didn't take pictures of my head. They just took pictures of the body area to show, the incision, whatever. And then now, so I got used to all these different doctors coming to the hospital to see me. So now I call myself the flasher because they was like, hi, you Miss Sperling? I was like, yes. I said, oh, you here to see my incisions? They said, yes. I said, okay. And so I just lift my gown to let them see the stitches. And then they just went on about their business. So years later, I don't know where the records went, but the doctor, he stopped teaching and he stopped practicing medicine, which this is years later. So I have recovered. I was going through treatment and therapy, and then then later on, he told me, he says, okay, he said, well, we didn't get all of the cancer at the time because it was too close to your heart. And so it may come back, it may not come back, but if it does, you had no problem. We will, take that out as well. So this was September 29. On September, I think 2001, I can't remember the date. I think I wrote it on the paper. The cancer did return. And I had to have surgery again to get the other piece out and recover from that. Now, while I am recovering, I am going through walking in the mall. I didn't want to leave the house. I stayed home because I didn't want anyone to bump into me. I didn't, as a matter of fact, my boyfriend who I was with, I told him to leave because I didn't want him to. I didn't want him to live with me any longer because I felt that bad about my body, and he wanted to see the body and everything. And I had a rough time as far as just being in the space of recovering because I didn't want to walk the street. I didn't want to go anywhere. I would be afraid that somebody's going to bump into me or whatever. And then I had a rough time because my arm was, because he took out like 21 lymph nodes under my arm. So that was a lot of lymph nodes to determine whether the cancer is going to spread or is a possibility would spread. So that was a sensitive area of the body. And so over the years, I recovered. I had 6 months of chemo. I didn't have any x-rays. The last stage of my chemo, I did get sick. I lost hair. But other than that, the side effects and everything wasn't bad. It was just my mental state of recovering, looking at other women with, same size breasts, not having a male companion, ever. I didn't want that because I didn't want to, no one to see me. I didn't want to see me. When I used to take showers, it took me a long time to even try to, look in the mirror to see myself. And even still right now, because of the stitches are so they didn't heal up. They healed with keloids, and I didn't know that there's certain stitches that women of color should have certain stitches, and with the magnitude of the scars, there's certain bandages and stitches that they were supposed to give me, because once I stand up, the breasts will hang and the stomach will hang. So if there's not proper stitching or coverage, the skin will stretch and it will develop keloids. And that's what I had developed. So now I have to look at that, because it's, it should have been healed better. And I've seen several pictures, other pictures later on with other women, like pictures in the, books and stuff that they show, that women's stitches were, straight line, no scars, no, nothing. And I'm like, well, how come I didn't get the same thing that they got? What's the difference between me and them? And that's how I realized, that's when I found out through the plastic surgery that the stitches that the doctor gave me was not the proper stitches for women of color, because our skin heal up differently. And so I didn't realize that. So now those scars is what I deal with every day now, because I feel like plastic surgery, they should have reconstruct my scars again, so I can get that line that most people will get from having stitches. But I don't have that. And then after the 6 months of chemotherapy, they say that you're going to lose your veins and things to that nature. So I had to get a port, which is another scar that's like, I don't know, it's on this side, that side. But I wouldn't wear clothes, off the shoulder, not like that, because I didn't want to see the port. But now the port's not bad. I think I'm good.
Okay.
I think it looks pretty now.
Okay.
But other than that, then I started having dreams, and dreams just started saying it's like cancer. Just keep saying it's cancer. It's cancer somewhere around you, and I'm not sure where this is what this talking about. So I'm feeling myself again. I'm like, okay, I've got cancer again. I'm not sure, so I got to go to the doctor, go get a mammogram. Lo and behold, while I'm doing that, my oldest daughter is now, she's gone to the hospital. Now, she's in Pennsylvania. I'm in New Jersey, so I don't know that she's going through this process. But apparently, my dreams are I don't know how you say, I feel her pain, or I go through symptoms that she's going through.
Okay.
So from where she is, I either I'm having this thing of my children, what she's going through. So I go to the doctor and I go get checked up, and he says, yes, you don't have cancer, but what we want to do is we want to put it's called a tracker in your other breast, so that we see something, but if it grows, then we know the location of where it is, so we won't have to be searching the whole breast. So I says, okay. So I called my daughter up and I said, okay, I thought it was cancer, but it's not. But because I thought they saw something, but they want to do surgery to put a tracker in me. And she said, well, Mom, she said, I went to the doctor and I have cancer. I was like, what? And so that took me for a loop right there. And I was like, oh, wow. So I was like, okay. And so I was asking her questions about it and everything. And she said, I'm like stage 4. And like stage 4 is pretty aggressive. And I recall one day she was eating some fried chicken. And I don't know, this maybe this me, but after she had the fried chicken, her cancer got worse. And I'm like, okay, is this what you putting in your body that makes this cancer aggressive or what? So this is me thinking, because I'm now trying to figure out how can I get better, what I need to do in my life, what I need to eat. So a lot of things is going through my mind. So even from back then, even up to today, I'm always thinking about what I can do better, what I can change, whatever. But I still don't do the right thing, but I still eat whatever. But it's always in the back of my mind, I'm still trying. And so, and I still try to work with her as well too. But she went from cancer to pancreatitis. And so, she almost died from that. And I'm like, oh my God, it's just like one thing to another. So, but my other daughter, she's fine. I just watch her, to make sure. But I think she feels like she might get it, and she don't know what to do about it. So, she's fearful, and she's like attached to me. Like she's still in my biblical court. So I have to like watch her and just see how, who she is. So, but other than that, now I'm in remission, and it's been since 1992 since I had the first occurrence. So now I'm just, basically just trying to do what I need to do to stay in remission.
Okay.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. Well, listen, thank you for coming out.
Okay.
And sharing your scars with us. Is there anything you want to leave with us in closing?
Well, be mindful of what you're putting in your body, because it's the old cliche, you are what you eat. And the way our society is going now, they say you overdo, you can't eat too many apples because the apple is no good. You can't eat tomatoes because there's something with this, or, it's always something, one way or another. But if you can just be mindful, just try to do the best that you can, because we don't know, what's going to happen. But I just say, just be careful, be mindful.
Okay. So tell us what you're working on now.
Well, right now, like I said early on, that my mom was a seamstress, and that sparked my curiosity in sewing. Now I am a full-blown seamstress and designer. And through that influence of my mother, I started sewing clothes again. And now I was able to enter into a competition, which held by New Life Association,
New Day.
New Days Association, and John Blassingame is the owner of this this association, and so I was entering the contest for a friend who won last year 3rd place, because I helped him with his garments, and so while I was at the tryouts, he didn't want to do it that year. And so being that I was there, I entered the contest for him prematurely. But as time went on, I couldn't get out of it. I ended up paying the deposit and stuff. So I said, I got clothes at home that I had started working on and I never finished them. So I completed the clothes and I entered the contest and I won second place in the contest. And so from that sparked me going into other things. Like now I'm with the Hub, which we are helping young people learning how to sew there. And Channel 2 CBS News was there yesterday and they was taping the Hub and its progress with the community. Also, I'm going to do a fashion show May 17th with John Blassingame at Shiloh Baptist Church in Plainfield, New Jersey on May 17th. Which I will be entering that fashion show. And I'm doing all these other fashion shows to get exposure to my fashion show, which will be September 21st. So early on, as I told you, my first breast cancer surgery was September 21st. So I'm going to hold my first fashion show on September 21st this year at in Irvington, New Jersey Park. And so this would be near and dear to me. And this fashion show is the second time that I'm doing this fashion show, because 2010 is when I had the cancer awareness. When I worked at the city of Newark, we were furloughed and the city was had some employees shut down. So I was giving my fashion show at the Robert Treat Hotel, which never happened the way it should have, because the city's financial situation, which affected my day at the Robert Treat Hotel, so I had to have it on a lower scale.
Okay.
It never happened the way that it was supposed to have been planned through the Holy Spirit. God's been putting these different dreams in my head since 2010 on what type of show I need to have. So because I am a cancer survivor, I've gone through several trials and tribulations, and certain things in my life happened. So these dreams keep inspiring me to have this fashion show that is telling my story with breast cancer in the form of the clothes that I will be making. And I will be having a segment with Breast Cancer Awareness Month. So instead of having it in October, I'm having it in September, which is the anniversary of my first surgery.
Wow. So
I hope all who be looking out for Carolyn Sperling's breast cancer surgery fashion show. I will be using the audience as part of the fashion segment, because my colors will be black, gray, pink, and white. And they represent death, knowing that you have breast cancer, which is gray. White is for purity, because I told you that my daughter received cancer. I felt that I passed on the gene to my daughter, so that color will be white. And pink is for survivorship. So if anyone have gone through cancer and they had death in the family, someone's going through cancer right now, or if they had family members that had cancer and they feel that, the gene passing on breast cancer to your family member, or if you are a survivor, you wear those colors at the show. Well,
I appreciate you coming out and sharing with us. I hope you guys enjoyed this episode of Scars. Please remember to like, share, tell a friend. We out, Jay.
Scars on the surface, but they deeper within. Every stitch is a chapter, every break is a win. From the pain we ascend, like the phoenix we rise. Scars podcast, where the truth never lies.